What is critical appraisal? Critical appraisal means carefully checking a research article to see how good, trustworthy, and useful it is. It's not just about reading what the authors say, it's about thinking deeply. Is this study well designed? Can we trust the results? Can we use this information in real life? Why do we do critical appraisal? We do it because not all research is equal. Some studies are well planned, others have serious mistakes or bias. By learning how to critically appraise, you can know which studies are most reliable, avoid being misled by poor or fake science, make better decisions in your field, whether it's healthcare, education, or psychology. Build your critical thinking skills for research and academic writing. What to include in a critical appraisal. Evaluate the research questions or hypothesis. Check if the research question is clearly written and, in quantitative studies, follows a structured format like PICO, population, intervention, comparison, outcome. See if the design and method match the question or hypothesis. If the research is about how social media ads affect sales, and the method is an experiment comparing sales before and after a campaign, it matches. If the research is about how social media ads affect sales, but the method is only interviews with managers, it doesn't match. Check if the hypothesis is specific, testable, and measurable. Aim or objective. Is the objective of the research fulfill the below criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, and time-bound? Does it contribute in filling up some gaps in the already existing knowledge of that discipline or just a reconfirming the already well-established facts? Yes or no? Study design. Consider following things. Is it a randomized controlled trial, a survey, a case study, or a meta-analysis? Was this design the best choice for the question they asked? Did the design control for bias or errors? Were there any comparison groups or control conditions? For example, if the study wants to test cause and effect, a randomized controlled trial, RCT, is reliable. If it explores experiences, a qualitative interview is better. A strong design usually has randomization, control groups, and clear procedures. Level of evidence. The level tells us how strong the evidence is. At the top, we have systematic reviews and RCTs, which are highly reliable because they reduce bias. At the lower levels, we have case studies and expert opinions, which can be useful but less strong because they rely on personal observation. Reliable studies usually fall in level A or B, meaning they are based on experiments or well-controlled research. If a study is level D or E, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means we must read it more carefully and treat its findings as early evidence, not final proof. Sample and setting. It describes who took part in the study. Ask questions like, was the sample size large enough to be meaningful? A small sample might not represent the larger population. Were participants chosen randomly, which reduces bias? Were they similar in age, gender, or background to the population the study talks about? Was the setting, like a school, hospital, or community, appropriate for the research question? A reliable sample is one that is large, clearly described, and chosen fairly. A biased sample, for example, only including one gender or one city, may not represent the whole population, so the results are less generalizable. A trusted setting is one that matches the real-world context of the study, not an artificial or biased environment. Data collection method. This part explains how the data were collected. Was it through questionnaires, interviews, medical tests, or observations? Ask, were the tools tested for validity? Do they measure what they are supposed to measure? Were they tested for reliability? Do they give consistent results if repeated? Were the researchers trained to collect data correctly? For example, a validated questionnaire is more trustworthy than one created without testing. A structured interview with clear questions is more reliable than an informal chat. Good studies always describe their tools in detail so readers can judge their quality. Data analysis. This shows how the researchers examined their data. For numbers, they might use statistics like t-tests, ANOVA, or regression. For words or interviews, they might use thematic analysis. Reliable analysis means the methods match the type of data. For example, you can't use t-tests for interview results. The process is clearly explained. The results are reported with real values, like mean scores, confidence intervals, or p-values. If the analysis is vague, unclear, or missing, the results cannot be fully trusted. Effect size tells how strong or meaningful the result is, not just whether it was significant. It answers the question, does this result really matter in real life? If the effect size is small, it means there is a difference. But it's tiny and may not be important. If it's medium, the effect is noticeable. If it's large, the result is strong and makes a real difference. For example, if a study says exercise reduces anxiety but the effect size is small, like 0.2, it means it helps a little. If the effect size is large, like 0.8, the difference is big and very meaningful. Main findings or results. This section summarizes what the study discovered. When appraising, look for: are the results clearly shown with data or participants' quotes? Do they match the aim of the study? Reliable findings are supported by real evidence, not opinions. If graphs, numbers, or participant quotes are missing, be careful. The results may not be reliable. Relevance to practice or future research. Ask: can these findings be used in real life? Do they apply to your field or to a wider group of people? Does it open new ideas for future research? A useful study connects results to real-world application, not just theory. Ethical considerations. Good studies always mention ethics. Ask: did they get approval from an ethics committee? Did participants give consent? Was their privacy protected? If there is no ethics section, that's a warning sign. Limitations. Every study has weaknesses. That's normal. Maybe the sample was small, data collection was short, or the tools were not perfect. The key is whether the authors acknowledge these problems. If they do, it shows honesty and increases trust. There are two ways you can critically appraise articles with an AI tool like ChatGPT. First is to use checklists already given by CASP checklists. You can find several checklists to critically appraise different types of articles, like systematic reviews with meta-analysis of observational studies, randomized controlled trials, qualitative studies, and cross-sectional studies. Click on any checklist you want to use, like I click on randomized controlled studies. Here you can download the checklist in Word or PDF. If you see these checklists, you notice that they are similar to the criteria mentioned earlier in the video, like checking if the article has a clear question. It even gives details to consider when reading a research question in an article. And then whether the participants are randomized in the study. Then there is whether the participants know which interventions they are given, like control or experimental group. If you want to do this manually, you need to read the article and check all the given criteria, but you can also do this with ChatGPT. You need to copy the whole checklist. Now on ChatGPT, you can use this prompt where I instruct it to use the checklist to critically appraise the article, and then paste the whole checklist. After that, I need to post my article. This is the article I am using. Copy the title and authors and note the publication date also. After that, copy the sections from methods to conclusions, and then paste them here. First, paste the article title, authors, and publication date, then paste the methods to discussion section. It creates the critical appraisal according to my instructions. You can see that for the first point, is the basic study design valid for a randomized control trial? It answers with detailed explanations, like population is 76 liters, intervention name is 5 or leadership training, comparator is waitlist control group, and then outcomes. Here it explains in detail how the participants are randomized. It also tells where the methodology does not follow the checklist. For example, here participants know if they are in self-directed or control conditions, so the answer is no to the question, were participants blind to interventions? It completes the whole checklist in a good way, explains the results, and how the results will help. It also makes a short summary of the appraisal, but you should always confirm by reading the article a little, or at least the abstract. This is a good and easy way to do research article critical appraisals. The second method is to create your own checklists. When doing a critical appraisal, we come across different types of articles. Some are systematic reviews, some are meta-analyses, and some are qualitative or quantitative studies. This type of checklist can work for all studies. All the elements are the same as we discussed earlier in the video. Just copy the checklist and in ChatGPT, give instructions like, complete a critical appraisal checklist in table format. Then paste the previously copied checklist. Also, paste the criteria for evaluating the methodology. The table you are seeing on the screen, I am pasting exactly this criteria. After that, specify that you want APA 7 for citations and style. Next, from the article, copy the article name, authors, and note the publication date. Copy the entire section from hypothesis to discussion and conclusion. Sometimes article text can be long. You can use DeepSeek then, which usually accepts longer texts that ChatGPT cannot. Paste everything here, first the title and authors, then all sections. It will create the table according to my instructions. Everything is direct and clear, like, study design is cross-sectional, level of evidence is C, sampling is 903 employees from 600 manufacturing firms, and all data collection methods. In short, everything is mentioned with direct and clear details. This procedure can be repeated for more articles. Then include all these things in your Word document. It will help you organize your work systematically, making the process of critical appraisal much easier and more efficient.